Hey guys, what's up? This is 8-Bit Eric, and today is the 30th anniversary of the original Legend of Zelda game. Yes, 30 years. Wow. How amazing is that? A franchise in gaming that can last 30 years. One of the best video game series of all time. In fact, my favorite series of all time. I'm not going to be lying or going out on a limb when I say that The Legend of Zelda single-handedly, as a video game franchise, changed my life. I probably would not be the person I am if I've never experienced it. So today I'm going to go ahead and basically just give my thoughts on the game, my memories on it, and maybe a couple of their wacky things like the Zelda commercials, and yeah, and just talk about the legacy that it's left behind and the impact that it's given me. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. I'm kind of just going off the cuff and just about my own memories today. So let's begin. Legend of Zelda. Never before was there a game like this. I mean, for God's sakes, the cartridge was in a gold case. I remember the first time I ever saw the gold case, I was like, wow, this game must be serious business. Like SRS, BZ, and SS, or whatever the elite speak is on the internet. The Legend of Zelda was set to become perhaps the biggest NES title at its time. Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to make a title that just focused on non-linear open world environment. Exactly what the opposite of Super Mario Bros. Was, the main Nintendo hit at the time. Miyamoto wanted to make something completely opposite, something that was just totally new and different. And The Legend of Zelda was exactly that, and boy, did it deliver. This game easily had some of the highest scores of all time for its time. That's a lot of time. All forced humor aside, there's no denying that The Legend of Zelda is perhaps one of the greatest video games of all time. And 30 years later, here we are, making a video in HD on YouTube talking about it. That is how big of impact this game has had. When Zelda first came out, I was probably about 2 years old, so I missed the mark on that. I didn't get to play it during its initial release, but when it was re-released as one of the classic series on the NES, I believe that's what they were called, I got it at like the age 4 and a half, maybe 5 years old. I got The Legend of Zelda. I went to a video game / toy store in the Fort Worth area called Children's Palace, and I got me The Legend of Zelda. And I never experienced it ever. The only reason why I picked it up was because I saw the gold package, and then it had like the little, I guess, window where you could see that it was a gold cart. And to me, that seemed awesome. And they also had the little demo unit showing the games, and I saw it. So I thought, you know what? I need to go ahead and try it. And when I took it home, I was amazed just from the first screen, when you're standing there with your little Link figure and you go up into the cave and get the sword, and you're told it's dangerous to go alone, take this. I was mesmerized. Now granted, my 4-year-old self had no idea where the fuck I was supposed to go, because this was a game like none other that I've never played. Fuck Mario Brothers, fuck Pac-Man. This was a game where it was all about exploration, all about secrets, all about just going to dungeons and figuring out how to complete them. And my 4-year-old self, boom, mind fucking blown. And it took me quite a while to figure out some of these secrets. I mean, having to burn bushes, having to find walls to blow up, to find entrances to, you know, shops or all sorts of different knickknacks and paddywhacks in this game. It was insane. Having to find areas where to go, having to get items, having the option to basically do any dungeon that you want at any time within reason if you had certain items. If you didn't, then you couldn't find any. But it was just mesmerized. It's hard to explain the feelings of nostalgia that I get over The Legend of Zelda. I mean, I used to sit Saturday mornings trying to figure out exactly where I should go on the map because it was just that huge to me. Like, you know, people have Skyrim nowadays. We had Legend of Zelda. When this game first came out, nobody exactly knew just how big of an impact that it would have, but it set many standards for games nowadays. I mean, it was the first game to have a save battery feature. It was one of the first games that just had an immersive, huge open world environment that you could just basically go anywhere, and it had all sorts of things that kids my age liked. You know, I used to play in the woods a lot as a kid. Shigeru Miyamoto's inspiration was him as a kid wandering around a lake, going into a cave, just basically exploring. Kids like that shit, and Legend of Zelda allowed you to experience that in a video game format for like the most definitive version of exploration at the time. I mean, we had adventure on the Atari, but Zelda was like adventure on steroids. Now, one of my favorite things about Nintendo marketing in the 80s and 90s was just how fucking absurd and wacky they were. The Legend of Zelda actually had a couple of commercials that were just so out of the world that, like, you have to like them, and 30 years later they're so much better. They're fantastic, and they actually have like absolutely nothing to do with the game, and I have no idea what they were thinking, but let's go ahead and watch them real quick.
Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter?
This one's a classic.
Nice graphics. I'd like to get my hands on that game. You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's the Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Guyana are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Libras too. But with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link, yeah, get some. Intense.
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Your parents help you hook it up.
That was, you know, those radical, cowabunga, bodacious raps that everybody in the late 80s, early 90s loved. And there was always a nerd or a bully or a cool guy always like interacting with each other, so it could show, it was that whole Saved by the Bell, you know, Zack and Screech vibe going on. That one wasn't as bad as the next one. Let's watch the next one.
Watch Zelda become a legend on your Nintendo Entertainment System.
Zelda!
God damn. Octoroks! Dude, what the hell is up with this dude?
The Legend of Zelda. A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
What in the blue hell, dude? Like, was that an insane asylum and the dude was just Psycho from Zelda? So, oh, that's so horribly good. Alright, so yeah, as you can see, the commercials, wow. Those are some of my most memorable things about the Legend of Zelda game. This essentially was the best fantasy game ever made at its time. Zelda was ahead of its time. It came from out of nowhere and just socked people right in the head because people like things such as Labyrinth, freaking Dark Crystal, Willow, movies like that, you know, Legend, you know, everybody loved fantasy, you know, exploration, fairies, swords, weapons. It was all the craze in the 80s, man. Everybody wanted to be a little Conan the Barbarian. I know I did. So when Legend of Zelda first came out, the idea of having a game that was just so immersive on the NES, for cripe's sake, was out of this world. This game was perhaps the most ambitious NES title of its time. It definitely set a standard, and it has built up quite a freaking legacy. I mean, quite a legacy. A series of games that to this day are high quality, including Skyward Sword. And it spawned a huge controversial timeline that for years people were just trying to dissect. We wanted to know where every game was laid out in this timeline because the series was just that, timeless. There was no way to pinpoint exactly just how impactful this series was and how impactful each game was in the series, and it all started from The Legend of Zelda on the NES. 30 years later, we're still talking about this game. We're still wearing shirts and logos. People are getting Triforce tattoos. People are anticipating upcoming games such as Zelda Wii U. With each game, it just keeps setting a standard and getting bigger and bigger, and it all derived from the little gold cart that could. This, if you want to talk about most influential games, easily in the top most influential games of all time. Without Zelda, we wouldn't have our Skyrims, we wouldn't have our Fallouts, we wouldn't have our Final Fantasies, we wouldn't have any of that. And go ahead, RPG fanboys, flame me below for saying that. You guys know it's true. All Zelda fanboyisms aside, you cannot deny that Legend of Zelda, 30 years later, has rightful praise. So let's go ahead and celebrate. Pop this into your toaster. If you haven't played it, I don't know where the hell you have been. Definitely worth the look. Fantastic fucking game. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Peace out. Happy birthday, Zelda.